Hello and welcome to Spec Scootz. I'm Comp. I've got 3 of the cheapest electric scooters that I could find on the internet. Today, we're going to be putting them through a range test here at the Spec track. This one was from Amazon. This one was from Temu or Temu, however you say it. This one was from AliExpress. And similar motors, similar batteries, very similar things, except the range numbers on the listings are very subjective. Some of them will be even like between 10 and 20 miles. So who knows how they're getting those range numbers and how they're getting them. But today I'm going to get some real world numbers and want to see how these compare and how they compare to the listings. So let's take a look at each one and then we'll get to ripping around the track. Starting with the Worhe, looking at this little guy. It is basically a shrunk down version of this one here. So the Worhe, it advertises 20 mile per hour top speed and 12 miles of range only. So that's a kind of a realistic number, I think. They all have lights on the front. Even if this test goes into dark, we'll have lights. Similar 8.5-inch front wheels, front hub motors, rated at 350 watts. This little Worhe is the only one with battery stats on the sticker on the side. We're looking at 4.5 amp hours. So it is the Worhe Model Ho. Pretty cool grip graphic there. Little tail lights on all of them. Next, let's take a look at the one from Temu. And this one advertises as 20 miles max range. That's quite a grand estimate there. And not much data as far as things from the Temu listing. It basically gives you 20 miles range, fast charging, max speed of 19 miles per hour, same kind of 8.5-inch tire. And they all have app control, which is kind of cool. Different riding modes that you can control and set the speed to them. But lastly, let's take a look at the LADped and see what this one is saying. It's 36 volt, 5.2 amp hours is what it advertises on the listing. 19 mile per hour top speed and 16 miles. So this one advertises 12, that one advertises 20, this one advertises 16. So let's take their claims and see how well each of them do. We'll turn them on and I'll long press that. The display comes on, reading in S mode, which is the top mode, full battery status. Turn the LADped on the same way. And we're seeing same screens. It seems like it's got a screen protector to the screen. I don't think I want to peel this off. I started to right here because it looks pretty crappy and you can't quite see, but it's also nice to have a screen protector to it. And the Temu one is a little bit of an oddball, short press to turn it on. They all have Bluetooth. So this QR code goes to an app called L Scooter. And L Scooter, I'm curious on if L Scooter sees all 3 of them. No, it only sees the one that it's supposed to. So this Temu one, so we got DNTOO scooter, driving gear 3, top speed, 99%, and I just took it off the charger. So as soon as I turned it on, it started doing that. So you can lock and unlock it from here. You can turn on the light, and also it's going to give us, put that into, it's in miles, machine bus in miles, but still it's showing kilometers here. So good old Chinese app. They all have little bells. That's that bell. This bell is around the corner here. Nice convenient finger flicker. So XBot is one of the ones that was listed in, I believe, the Worhe manual. So it sees 2 of them with 2 different serial numbers. XBot's not working. Last app to try is Vicont. Vicont? So we've got some numbers on this one. You can turn it off, you can do headlights. In the Vicont app, I went to vehicle setup and then DIY performance settings, and we're cranking things up. It was like max speed at 18, I hit the rocket ship. Most torque, most driving maximum torque, and most electromagnetic brake setting. So, hopefully that one boosts this all the way up to its max performance. All right, we've got the Worhe here. It's the first contender in the range test, and got the app pulled up. It is full of different stuff. I've got the vehicle set up, DIY performance maxed out, headlight is on. Let's take a look at the sport dashboard. Oh, also there's trip, which should give you some history data on your trip and keep track of the vehicle. But she's doing burnouts. So it looks like, yeah, there's current on the right side and RPM on the left. Interesting. So, okay, one-handed. This thing has got some torque to it. It's getting there. 15.97, 16. Oh, this cruise control's awesome. So I held it, and then now it beeped, and I can see there's a little like tachometer symbol down there flashing. And I don't have to hold my hand or my thumb on the thumb throttle, which is awesome. Let's take a look at voltage. Please stop the vehicle before operating. I can't get to voltage. Should be doing full regenerative braking there, but it's not all that much regen braking. Okay. Because I would more like to see this as an indicator as far as the percentage and the voltage for this range test. So we'll just stick that in the pocket. Actually, curious to see if I can lock the phone and come back to it. So we're gonna rip this around the track a bunch of times. You can kind of do rolling burnouts on it. It's kind of fun. There is not all that much foot room on this teen one. You're kind of feet right next to each other. There is a little space to stagger your feet. Back here, the kickstand is pretty easy to access. It sticks out a little bit. The display is relatively bright. And let's let her rip. So even though I'm in top speed and it says it's got more of a top speed, this one's gonna be sitting at 16. But this cruise control option is pretty darn cool. Get a view of the track as we're going around. This is the most of a hill that there is on the track. So right now we're slowing down to, it says 15 every so often. There we go, 15. So it's working its way up this hill here. And I will check in if anything comes up. And right now, I think that we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars possibly, but we're down to 5. So let's see how things go. So even though the display is displaying up to 17 miles per hour, my watch is reading a little bit different. So there it's saying 16, but we're only doing 14 as measured on the watch. So a little bit inaccurate on that. I think I trust the watch a little bit more, and almost everything in this price point and cheap Chinese stuff is definitely more optimistic on the speed and range and everything. And then also the light, the angle that it's at is basically just pointing like straight up, like it's at this angle going up and out. So be interesting after dark, see if this light even does anything. That it's maybe there more as so people can see you rather than you being able to use it to drive after dark. The riding position is not great. I'm basically straight armed to reach these little short bars. And riding feel, not great. You can feel every little crack and bump and vibration in the road. Sure, if it was completely smooth asphalt, it would be no problem. But this racetrack is a genuine racetrack with real hardness to it, and it's got cracks, it's got bumps for grip, and it's a real racetrack. So I'm feeling all of that through my feet. My feet, I'm basically already vibrating in my feet, even though I'm only been doing this a few minutes, all the way up into my face, like making my nose tickle by the vibration. So not great there, but it's still scooting along, little scooter. I haven't had to do anything. As soon as you go one-handed, it is a little bit unruly, but it mostly wants to stay up. You're then balancing by your feet like anything. That it wants to go straight. It does a pretty good job at it. You don't need to hold on too much. You just need to keep it upright. And yeah, I like the graphic on the grip. That's really cool. I like that it is pretty small. That if you've got just a small front trunk on your electric vehicle, this unit is a good contender for a very small space. It's one of the most compact micromobility things you can get, besides maybe an electric unicycle, but it also depends on the dimensions. That this one is pretty darn small. And one thing I found, and because we're on a range test, I'm not going to do it all that much. Oh, and to point out, we're down another bar, and we're not all that far through it. We're only 15 minutes through it. Let's see how much distance. And we've only run 2.6 miles so far, and it's down 2 out of the 6 bars, but I love this cruise control feature. It's awesome. Before, when I hit the throttle and let it off, it takes it off cruise, and we're slowing down now, but it's not really doing regenerative braking, or doing whatever electronic braking it calls it. That you gotta hit the brake lever there, and that's real strong electronic braking. And I'm curious on if it's actually adding voltage back in. Let's take a look at the app real quick and get an idea what the app is doing. We're looking at 64%, 36 volts. So 35.9. I'm going to tap the brake. We're going to do just regenerative braking, 37. So yeah, voltage did not go up. Well, I mean, so 33, 34 on acceleration, 35, lock in cruise control. We'll give it kind of a little bit of time to maintain. So there we're back around 36 volts. Let's say that I just coast to a stop. What is that voltage reading? So just coasting to a stop, we're at 37, which is very similar to what it seemed like even under electronic braking. I don't think it's really much of an actual regen. On a 58%. And again, remember, these are brand new, but the battery should be the best once they're brand new. So we're 35.9. Hold the brake just a little bit. It's doing hard. So we saw 38, peaked at 38 there. So it could be doing something. So interesting that it's got that feature, but that's you've got mechanical braking via the drum brake in the back here. And then also that's nice to then have front wheel braking via the electronic brake via the motor. So dual wheel braking that with only one lever is pretty handy. The cruise control is nice. I'm not sure what these other functions are as far as helmet lock. I mean, when you press it, okay, please stop vehicle before operating. seems like it doesn't want to let me do really anything on the app while it's moving, which is kind of for the best, but also quite lame. We are at 2 bars of battery status indication, and we're 4.2 miles, 4.3 miles in. So we'll see. Interesting to see how that goes. Let's take a look at the voltage. App is saying 32% and 34 volts-ish. Wonder if I can unclip this. We've got Neo back there following us, getting some follow footage. I'm not all that tall of a person. I'm only about 5'7" or so. And it is basically just the right size for me. It's just a little small for me to fully get on the grips. I'm hunched over just a little bit, but you can put a little bend in the knees. That would be quite the task to constantly do, is be bending your knees, but you can kind of relax and just kind of stand up on it and enjoy the cruise control feature that it's just moving itself along. We're down to 1 bar already, so getting pretty low. Pretty quick going. It's saying 18%, 33 volts. So not thinking we're gonna get to that, whatever it advertised, at 12 miles. We're only looking at 5 miles right now, so interesting. Got little DJI Neo doing some follow cam and doing a good job there. Kind of sucks that I can't move it around while we're moving though, that it's gonna stay right in this position, but pretty darn cool. I'm curious if you're gonna make it the whole 2-mile lap. Well, almost 6 miles in, and we are looking at 6%, down to 33 volts. 6 miles, 4%. Woo! That went quick. Well, it is slowing down quickly. Not much further than 6 miles. We now got flashing red indicator on battery status, and the app shows 0%, down to 32 volts. So this would be a logical point to stop or start planning on getting home. Let's see how much further. Oh, there it goes. It cut out right there. So that's how much you get. 6.25 miles, 6.25 miles. So pretty much half of what they said. Thankfully, I am not far from where the other scooters are, just down there. Just came down the straight and started to continue on to the next lap. So next we're gonna do the LadPed. Well, because I'm using the same app for the Worhe and the LadPed, which was the Amazon, T, cheapo, but also the most expensive out of all three. The LadPed was AliExpress or Alibaba. They both use this Vicont app, and unfortunately, it seems like there should be some way to just switch between things, but I cannot figure out a way to just have 2 vehicles in there and then it be able to detect when one is on versus the other. So the app thinks that I'm still riding and moving on that one. Reboot the Vicont app, and then you got to go in and unbind. So I'm going to unbind from the Worhe, connect or add vehicles, and then hook up to the LadPed. Check my vehicle, make sure cruise is on. That's an awesome feature. And then let's double check our vehicle setup, that we are maxed out on everything. We are not. It defaulted down to less. So crank that, and we're good to go. I ran the Worhe with the light on. We're gonna run this with the light on. So the angle of the Worhe light is basically going straight up and out. It's pointing out into space, and this LadPed is kind of as well. Let's start on the sport dashboard. 3, 2, 1. Outdoor cycle engaged. And let's take a look at what the app says. 13 amps, 14 amps. Cruising at a steady 6.6, 7 amp, 8 amp. Between 6.5 and 8 amps. Speed, this one, same thing. It is indicating 16, around 16 on the display and only 14 measured on the watch. So, a similar amount of discrepancy between speedometers. Half mile in, 38.3 volts. We'll get that secured in that hand. 38.2. We'll do just a off throttle test, so disengage cruise control. 39.7, 38, or 39.8, 39.9 is what we're seeing off voltage. And back to accelerating. Back on cruise control. So 38.7, 38.8, and let's give it some regenerative braking. 41. So yeah, it actually boosted some voltage into the battery there. That was measurable. And again, nice having that regen feature. The cheap electric bicycles that we tested did not have that. Nice, cool chicane that's built into the track here. Used to go over and around, but they built this chicane. I think it's a great feature. It's my thoughts on the lead ped as far as comfort. Very similar to the Worhe. The tires and no suspension offer no comfort. You feel everything in the road, every little bump and vibration, and at this speed, it's just, you just feeling it through your legs. My feet are vibrating and my hands are vibrating all the way up into my face and nose tingling just from the vibrations going on. All right, looking at 74%, 37 volts. We are 3.45 miles in, so almost 3.5 miles. Looking at 1/4 of the battery gone. We're down to 1 bar. Oh, we lost Bluetooth connection. There we go, we got it back. We're down to 16, 34 volts. We're at 8 miles. 34 volts. Riding position wise, it is pretty nice. And I'm able to stand up straight, able to just kind of stand here. It's easy to ride one-handed. It's not super easy to ride no-handed because there's a very small very small amount of foot area to be able to balance it, and it is got a quick vertical axis of momentum. So, and if you got real good, I'm sure you could do it. But this one's a bit easier. With the Worhe, my hands were all the way down here, fully outstretched, and it's kind of hard to keep it ruly without hands. So, with some practice, you could definitely ride no-handed. But it's a scooter. Gone 8 miles already. Be great for having in your car, and if you're at a charger, just kind of go around and go explore for a little bit, bring it back in, and if you got a fancy EV with a 110 port, then you could just plug it right into your car then and have it charged. Yeah, these last few percent go quick. So it just went from 6, 5, 4, lasted at 4 for a little bit, then jumped from 4 to 2. And we've got 1 red flashing indicator on the display, saying we're going 14, 15. We're now at 0% on the app. There we go. Cut out at 30 volts. So I saw 29.9, and we are at 10.3 miles total. Lastly, the no-name brand from Temu with the disc brake in the back rather than tiny little drum brake like the other two. Got the L Scooter app here. Started scanning, found it. So electricity 99%. See if we go to setup, there's much less setup in here. Cruising on, 0 start off, that enables it to go without kicking, which if you turn that on, you have to start moving it and then it will go. So I like that functionality to have zero start, be able to go. We're in miles, we'll turn the headlight on. This one's got a front kickstand, kind of a little odd, and then it's hidden way down in there. It's kind of hard to get with your foot then. It's a little bit different design. Got the same 5 bars of battery status indication. This one's at a different frequency. It's not flashing on the screen. So, not at 100%, but at 99%, and doesn't look like any other settings that I can get to as far as speed settings and things like that. So, let's give it a rip. Well, this one immediately sounds different, and immediately there's a bit of a rattle going on inside of it. Now it's saying we're going 19 on the display. Let's see what the watch is saying as far as speed. 15.8 miles per hour is the speed the watch is saying we're going. So the watch is reading 15.8, 15.5 versus 19 on the display. One of the other laps, somewhere along here, there was a wrench. And I didn't stop that lap, and I gotta remember on the next lap. This one's got kind of an interesting battery indicator display. Rather than just dropping bars, now we've got 4 solid and 1 flashing. And on the app right now, we're sitting at 88%. I was just at 87 and went back up to 88, 87, 88. So right in between there. It says we're going 19 miles an hour, but we're not. 6 kilometers, we'll convert that. It's saying 6 kilometers, we've gone 3.75 miles so far. This bell's kind of interesting. You can just, it's not one of those cam over dual click bells where you got a ding ding. You can do a single ding, and then you can also do a little soft ding, or you can make a big ding. You can ding then mute. It's just as uncomfortable as the other two. I am feeling every little bump in the road, and possibly even more. I think that this one has a more dense tire compound than the other two. I know I've locked the tires up of the other two, the Worhe and the Lad Ped, and didn't get a flat spot, but this one, I locked the back tire up for just a little bit, doing a fast brake test, and got definitely what I can feel like a flat spot there. So it's got a bit of a clunk every single round, so that's kind of lame. Already wore down that tire a bit. And this one's by far the loudest. You can tell there's something in the battery box, probably the speed controller, not being glued down or anything like that, or secured, and I can hear something's in there rattling around. Not the most reassuring sound, and also quite annoying. And it just sounds crappy. Whereas the other two, surprisingly solid sounding. And similar light angle that we are pointing off up into space, about that angle. So not gonna be great once the sun goes down, but we're looking at a pretty nice sunset here. This test has gone quite quick. Whereas the cheap e-bikes, they kind of lasted a bit longer. They had definitely bigger batteries. I know along here I saw a wrench. Pretty sure I didn't imagine it. So I'm remembering this lap to look for the wrench. It's probably a 10 millimeter. The bugs, it's sun is going down. Beautiful sunset behind the trees. Sun is going down, bugs are out. So I'm definitely eating bugs each time I'm talking. There's the wrench. Might have been even smaller. 1/4 inch? Oh, 8 mil. A little 8 millimeter Husky find. All right, it's going in the pocket. Acceleration, full throttle. This one seems like it's probably the slowest. On one of the other videos, we were trying to figure out how it knows to put on the brake light or do the electronic brake. And looking at things, I'm able to find right inside here, there's a little wire going up into here. So there's gotta be some kind of little pressure switch that when you squeeze the handlebar, it either opens or closes that switch and then activates the brake light and the regenerative braking. No voltage on it, which kind of sucks. That I can't see I like more data. So more data would be nice on this Dinto scooter app. Well, things dropped down quick. It went down the last few bars, down to flashing red quite fast. Ah, I missed it. The last bit just dropped like a rock. Well, that was a very quick decline. 2 bars to 1 solid and 1 flashing, to 1 and then red, and then dead within about a half a mile. So I started to get the camera and everything out at about 10.5 miles, and it started to feel like it was slowing down a bunch, and then just quickly died off. 11.09 miles for this one. So 11 miles total and nothing on the Bluetooth. Not too bad. This one did the best, and thankfully it died right by where I've got everything else. Well, successful range test. The sun is setting behind me. Pretty soon the moon's gonna be coming up. It was great riding around the track. Let's go through the numbers. Worhe did just over 6 miles, 3rd place. It advertised, what I think, 12. 2nd place, Ladped did just over 10. Not quite the 16 it was advertising. 1st place, still not great. Did just over 11, but advertised 20. And granted, this was full speed, so maybe on lowest speed, conserving energy, you might be able to get those numbers, but still, that's a big margin between what it's rated to, expected to get, and what I actually got. Always take these numbers with a grain of salt, I guess. This is the test I got. Flat track, almost no wind, flat out. It would be even less mileage if you're in the city and you're starting and stopping every few blocks. And that acceleration is not going to offset how much you're getting from the regen. So, successful range test. Going to put them through a few more tests and see if it's worth it to even entertain something at this price point. I think that if you need something just for going to A to B, something to throw in the car, it is worth it at 120 bucks, 130 bucks. It's a little bit sketchy. You got to kind of know how to ride it, but as long as you're safe, wear a helmet, ride within the rules, and it's definitely a fun little thing. But honestly, I would probably choose a manual skateboard over this. That it's, I don't know, I just feel so dorky, but to each their own. Thank you so much for watching Out of Spec Scootz. You have a great day.